Hey, I'm Ossie from Three Monkeys Solderless, home of the world's best cables for your pedal board, DC connectors, audio connectors, all kinds of cable, best sounding stuff. So easy to put together. What are you doing? Check us out at threemonkeysolderless.com. Link below. We've got a 25% sale going on right now. All right. Anyway, I can't talk. What else is new? So, put that back. What am I doing? Where's my drink? Here we go. Okay. What we want is to continue with the experiments with the Van Halen 1 sound. That's what I want to do, rather. So, we're back on that today. Let me move the mic a little bit in here. Okay, that sounds better. So, to start the chase off again, we're going to sort of pick up where I thought the best place I had come to. We're going to pick up right from there, which was the DI theory one. So we're going to use basically the same equipment. We're going to sort of simplify things. And we're going to introduce the type A thing, right? Which we did in last week's video, and see what that does with the whole sound as well. So we're going to jump into GarageBand really and start twisting some knobs and see where we're at. But first, I thought it'd be good to just go over the signal chain real quick. So again, we're using the white Strat straight into the Marshmallow, the 1 amp, and we're using a custom for our pickup. All right, and straight into the Marshmallow, everything on 10, except for the normal channel volume, which is up at about 10 o'clock, which unloads the that stage a little bit more. We're coming out of the line out on the Marshmallow and going into the aux stomp, okay? And the aux stomp right now is being run in mono, which means that it combines. You see, the aux stomp has 2 available channels, so to speak, that you can choose from and combine. So you can use 2 different mic types or 2 different speaker types, all that kind of thing. And when you're in mono, it just sums them straight out. So that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to mess with balance twice. So we're going to do all the balancing between our 2 signals at the stomp. And from the stomp, we're going into the Focusrite, little cheapo interface, and straight into GarageBand, no other effects. So on this side, we're going to have the DI, right, which is just the direct sound. And on this side, we have a greenback setting with a dynamic 57 mic on there. All right, SM57. So let's start just by dialing in something that is close to what I want to get to, right? So we're just going to kind of balance out these 2 channels. So let's start off with just, you can hear the 2 signals again if you're not familiar with it. This is a DI sound. This is what your amp actually sounds like, full frequency range without the filtering effect that Celestions or other guitar speakers or all speakers have in terms of frequency roll off. So this is, you're getting the full whack, a lot of top end here. So let's listen to it. Right, so that's more like a reeling in the ears Steely Dan sound, right? That direct to the console kind of sound. It's got a lot of sting to it, a lot of hair. Okay? So we'll back this off, and then we're going to introduce, so you can hear these sounds, the greenback sound, right? So I'm going to bring this up, which is our greenback speaker sound, right? You can hear that's a lot thicker, right? It has a lot of roll-off, has a little bit of a change in the mid-range. It sculpts the sound as a greenback speaker would. All right, so combining these 2 to my ear is what I like to hear for like the Van Halen 1 sound thus far. So what we're going to do is let's put up the greenback, and then we'll add the DI into taste. All right, I think that's going to work there. Then we could get our level of the two so we get a good signal level. Okay, I think that's good. All right, so now it's time to just go into GarageBand and start playing with the knobs. So let's get in there and we'll have some fun with the sound, see what we can get. And this obviously is just the microphone. And down here we have the summed guitar signal. Let's bring it up a little bit. I think that's good there. All right, so what I propose to do is sort of what we did last time, which would be to create a couple of tracks to kind of mess around with. So one would be just this close mic sound, right? And then we're going to have another track that is the room mic. And then we're going to have another track that is the main reverb. All right, so we're going to create the 3 tracks off of one lame recording that I'm going to attempt to make right now of course, Running with the Devil. So let's try that. Let's see if I can get something that's remotely acceptable to play around with. So let's begin. Gotta mute this. So I believe that was sufficiently sucky. I don't think I'm going to do much better, honestly. So we're just going to go with that. All right, so let's begin. We're going to get rid of this. All right. Oh, that was almost a bad thing. Why can't we get rid of this track? Oh, good. What did I do? All right, anyway, track. Let's create a duplicate track. All right, and this one we're going to rename the track. This is going to be Guitar Room. And then we're going to duplicate the track again. And this one is going to be track, rename it, Guitar Chamber. Oh, no, you know what? Let's just make it reverb. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to copy this track, edit, copy, and then we're going to go into this track and then we're going to paste that in. And then we're going to go to this track and paste that in. All right, so now we have 3 identical tracks. Let's delete that track out. That worked good. All right, so then we're going to create a loop section that we can just repeat ad nauseum until you want to mail me hate mail, which should be pretty soon. All right, so right in there. All right, so that is our looped area. Okay, so we can now start adding the effects into the sound. So the first thing we got to do, I guess, is create the room ambiance, right? So actually, let's separate. Let's move these backwards. All right, so we have the guitar, guitar room, and guitar reverb. So let's start with adding some room sounds into this. So we're going to just play this in a loop and start adding the plug-in for the Sunset Sound Chamber. Okay. All right, that's not too bad. We'll just start with that. That's good. And then we're just going to go into then the reverb, right? So we're going to add in some plugins. Let's see. We got to use the Sunset Sound Reverb. Now here's where I always don't know which one I like the best. I'm going to go with the chamber this time, right? And we're going to add in the chamber for this. So we're in this. Let's unmute it. And then we're going to add in this chamber to taste, right? So let's, okay, there we go. So let's say, let's bring this down all the way and then we can feather it in, because right now we're about 100% wet on the chambered reverb. So let's begin. All right, there's a, it's a little bright too, I think maybe. What we also want to do is we want to start panning things. All right, so the dry guitar, let's say it's around here somewhere. The room mic, let's say it's a little bit more towards the center, and then the reverb is dead down the middle. All right, so let's go through that again. All right. That's not too bad. I do want to, however, try some of the plate stuff too, just for fun. All right, we're going to stick with the Studio One chamber here and use that. Okay. Now, I think what I did want to do is add, let's say, a little bit of fattening maybe. Let's just see real quick if we wanted to boost a little bit of low end on the main sort of guitar track here. Let's see. Let's add in the yeah, let's just do a simple channel EQ, right? And we can maybe add in a little bit here of some low end. All right, so let's see. Just kind of sweeping, looking for a good spot. All right, I think that'll work. Okay. Now the next thing to do that I really want to mess around with now, more so than anything, is to mess around with the type A. So we're going to just do that on the master so we can affect all of the sort of channels at the same time. So it's this audio thing type A. So what this does is it just adds this crispy Angora top end to it. It just adds this nice sparkle, this clarity and space to everything. It's just very, very smooth. And what it basically was like, this was like a Dolby noise reduction unit that was used in the 70s to create a better signal to noise ratio for their tape decks when they were mastering or recording, to tape. So it's a compander unit, I think, which basically is a compressor expander. And what they found was that if you ignored the second sort of function of the unit, the expander unit, that it would create this, desirable effect of adding some really nice top end to it. So it has 4 bands through which you can change the sounds. So you can sort of like work in those frequency ranges, and then it has this little compressor unit here, and then you punch in the bands that you want to work with up here, and that's really pretty much as far as I've gotten with it. I haven't spent more than like 10 minutes working with this thing. So it's, we're just doing this kind of live without any net, so to speak. All right, so let's just dive in and see what happens. I did have a preset, right, for I just called it Van Halen 1. I don't know whether that means anything, but that was the case of what I called it. So let's rewind the track, and let's just start playing, and then I'm going to bring the type A in. Maybe mute the mic too, so I don't want to hear the ambient room noise. All right, that's even annoying me now. That's a bit much, I tells you. All right. Now, just kind of thinking about what I could do here. You know what I'm wondering? I'm wondering if this might be useful to, let's put this on the reverb track. I'm just curious about that. All right, so let's see what happens when we start to use this thing in different areas of the sound. So let's turn it off here. All right, let's go to the reverb track. Okay, and let's add the type A to the reverb. Okay. All right, and we're going to use that same setting as before, and we may go up on the mix since now we're only on, 1/3 of the signal, so to speak, or one of the 3 channels. So let's rewind the thing again. I know we're sick of listening to this, but this is sort of, this is the job, man. All right, let's go. All right, turn this off. That's not bad on the reverb. It's really airing out that reverb. It really is. I kind of like it on the reverb. So maybe, let's see. What if we did it on all 3 to varying extents? All right. So let's try this channel. Just a straight guitar channel with some of that type A in there. Turn down the mix way down. And let's begin. And we'll feather it in. All right, let's try that there. Now the room, let me listen to just the room for a second. I want to see if I maybe should boost up a little bit more mid-range in the room and see what happens there. So let's go to just a little simple EQ. let's see what that does to the whole mix. All right, I don't mind that at all. Don't mind that at all. Now, on the master, maybe we change out the type A, and let's do some Pultecking. If that's a verb now, I don't know. Let's see what the MIDI EQ Pultec does. Let's say we do like, you know, the usual thing, like 700 hertz dip, right? And let's say like 3 dB, and that's on the master, right? So it's affecting all three of our guitar sounds. So let's listen to this. Okay, I like that. What if we were to add, well, it's set at 3K. So let's just see what it does. Let's add some of this 3K in and see what it does. Go down a little bit. Okay. Now let's try just adding a little bit of let's just try like the main Pultec. Right, if we do sort of like the low end thing on the Pultec. So that would be boost and cut the same frequencies. I usually do around 60. So like, let's say at 5 and 5, right? And let's get it out of there, and then let's listen to it. Okay, liking that. Now maybe just want to play a little bit more. My shoulder's killing me from using this computer too much. Let's play around a little bit with the levels, right? If we want to drop a little bit of room out of it, then let's see what happens. All right, I'm liking that. So we'll save this project as the DI Theory 2. Okay, so now we can kind of also maybe add add like another track set up so we can listen to maybe another sound here. So how should we do this? All right, so let's just delete these out. As they're saved anyway, we can always come back to here. And let's get another okay, let's get like another track going just to see how it works with like a different sound. All right, let's try it with that sound. We'll play just like a little of the usual ridiculous melody or mashup. All right, so let's just not record this. All right, it's a little bit of a mashup just to see how it works with different sounds. So they don't always work with everything that you want it to work for. So let's start like around here somewhere. And then we can sort of bring this out to the end of time. Okay. Now we can basically just play that. And so this track we're going to want to copy again, right? We're going to want to paste it into here. That one got smudged over a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, so we'll add these in. Let's not bother with that stuff. All right, so let's just hear what we got just straight off the bat. Right off the bat, you immediately know that that's way too much reverb. Right? So, I think on certain songs there were probably, where there was room, probably some reverb was used to create, some chorusy kind of like organ effects, as they sort of get into play like on a holding note. But on something busy like this, it just kind of, it muddies everything up to me, I think, every one of these songs was mixed differently. So let's remove this reverb and just see what happens. Yeah, I think that actually sounds a little bit better for so we'll save this track as something different just so we could keep we'll just call that less verbiage, right? Just so we could see sort of the differences of the different sounds of it. And I'm also wondering, like just going to export this for a second. So I want to see what it does. Obviously the computer was crying, so I didn't realize that it had been overstressed, so I had a little bit of a problem there. I had to restart and reboot, and so we're opened up to this track here, to which I wanted to export this song to disk anyway, right? Or this particular track of the Running with the Devil. All right, so that should do that. So I think we'll get out of GarageBand and get back into the room and just listen to the two mixes real quick. And I'm using these El Cheapo headphones, so I'm going to want to listen to this on something that's a little bit better than that. So there's always like the conversion sort of guesstimation. So let's get out of here and go back into the room. All right, so we're back in the room and we're probably going to wrap it up. But I wanted to hear, so I mixed down, I just used, you know, the standard like export song to disk. And just to see what we ended up with for that Running with the Devil clip thus far in sort of like an MP3 sort of like format, which adds, you know, there's a little bit of compression in it. It sounds a little bit better sometimes. So let's just listen to that and see where we're actually at with the sound right now. Okay, so that wasn't terrible. So just off the bat, still maybe too much reverb, right? That's always hard to get right. So we've got to back down some of that reverb a little bit. I'm liking what that Type A thing did. I'd like to hear a little bit more of accentuation, maybe somewhere around, that's got to be around 400 hertz, somewhere around there. Yeah, maybe it's somewhere around like 400 hertz to have like a peak there that would really accentuate that chord a little bit more. But I'm really happy with what the Type A thing is doing. I think there's some promise in that thing. You know, it was definitely used by producers on like so many things back then. So I wouldn't put it past, you know, Landy to have done something like that. Gonna have to search like Sunset Sound sort of studio photos and see if we could see the noise reduction unit in there somewhere. That doesn't mean that it wasn't in there just because we can't find it in the picture. So it'd be interesting to see if that's what they used. And there may be more than, as always, there is more than one way to get to where you want to go. I think today was kind of cool. Had a little bit of fruit, I think, to it for sure. There's something there. Got to maybe just build on this one sort of like project a little bit and kind of dial in a little bit. But again, it's the fun is doing all this stuff, right? It's not really, once you get there, it's sort of over, right? So it's more fun to kind of like, zoom all around it and try different ways of getting into it, and don't land the plane, right? How can I fly into this airport? Can I go straight down and out? Can I touch and go? Can I come in sideways? Can I just crash it right into the middle? So that's the fun, really, is experimenting and getting all these different ideas together rather than, oh, that's it, I'm done. Yeah, don't want that to happen. So yeah, I think that's good for today. And again, I just wanted to thank everybody for hanging out at the channel. Hope you guys find something interesting here and some inspiration to do this kind of stuff on your own, or give you some ideas. And if you do get some ideas, you got to put them out there for sure. And, let other people hear what you're doing. That's always cool. Sort of crowdsourcing the solutions is always interesting. So that'll be it for today. I'm going to go downstairs and watch the rest of the British Open and see what happens. So once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.